challenges and our goals. Like you indicated, some of the honorables, in addition to not being maybe accountants or auditors or financial, they are also just elected as well. And they have to be fully abreast with our activities at the PAC. So I will run through the presentation as quick as I can, because at the end of the presentation, we are also humbly or respectfully recommending to the Honorable Committee on some of those low-hanging fruit projects that you can also target to make an impact as well. The speaker invited me to the non-plenary and did a similar presentation. So to save some time, I will not go through details as far as some of the slides are concerned. So I will start firstly with our mandate and our reporting channels. Who we are the General Auditing Commission. In most countries, we are referred to as the Supreme Audit Institution or the Office of the Auditor General. But constitutionally, we are the external auditor of the government of Liberia. Who do we report to? We report to the National Legislature through the Public Accounts Committee, this committee, and the copy of our report goes to the President. What do? We are charged with the responsibility of auditing all public funds. And by definition of public funds, funds that are raised by the government of Liberia, funds that are given to the government of Liberia by other stakeholders like donors, etc. Our legal reliance, although we are stated in the Constitution as an established commission, but the Constitution also gives the legislature the authority to legislate acts for the full operationalization of the GAC. So the GAC Act is also our legal reliance as well. I will quickly run through our responsibility. We have a couple of annual responsibilities. From the beginning of the year, the first thing the Auditor General does is he puts together an annual audit schedule. So I craft an annual audit schedule. First on our annual audit schedule is the audit of the consolidated financial statement audit. So the consolidated financial statement is a combination of all government ministries and agencies whose Ministry of Finance give funds to. One of the mandatory one of the mandates of the Office of the Auditor General is to ensure that this particular financial statement is audited every year. So we audit the consolidated financial statement. That's the first on my work list. Then we also audit ministry, agencies, and commissions as well. On average, we perform about 30 audits of state-owned enterprises and ministry, agencies, and commissions. We do basically 4 kinds of audit at the GAC. So we do what we call a financial statement audit, where if the entity prepares a financial statement, we look at your financial statement and see whether the financial statement is not materially misstated. But that it simply means whether the activities of your entity matches with the figures that are put in your financial statement. We do what we call a compliance audit. The compliance audit is basically where we look at your activities and see whether your activities matches with the laws and regulations or is in full compliance with the laws and regulations of Liberia. Talking about the public financial management laws and regulations, talking about the public procurement laws and regulations, etc. We also do what we call performance audit. Performance audit is the value for money audit that the chairman was talking about. In that audit, we basically look at the achievement of the 3 E's relative to sector assessment. So we look at whether the particular activities we are looking at, whether economy was achieved. That means we were able to get the best value of goods with minimum money, whether efficiency and effectiveness was also applied. So at the beginning of the year, the Auditor General does what we call a sector assessment. We list all the sectors in the country. We look at trending topics in those sectors, and the agency select 3 of them to perform on an annual basis. This year, we selected 3 topics for our performance audit. One is the impact of the free tuition policy, selected that. We selected corruption investigation, management and investigation of corruption cases in the country, since it's a trending topic. And we also look at the management approval of concessions agreement in the country as well. We thought that those were 3 trending topics. In the past, some of the famous performance audits we've done had to do with drugs, which is the medication, drugs, procurement, storage, distribution across the different health centers. It was that report that even precipitated the former ambassador of the U.S. to make his trips around the country. We did one on artisanal mining activities in the country, and there are a number of them. So we do 3 performance audits every year. Then we do 1 IT system audit. So there are several IT systems across the government of Liberia. We select one of these systems and audit them. So 2022 we did the National Identification Registry. We did a full assessment of the database, the NIR database, very comprehensive report. We are in the process of concluding an audit on the Liberia Revenue Authority system audit, where we look at both ASACUDA and CTAX. And then this year for 2024, we will be performing an IT audit on the Social Security database as well. Then we do a couple of special audits. So we audit donor audit projects in the country. I will show you our donor audit that we do. So projects from World Bank, African Development Bank, etc. We also audit them as well. As it is now, we have contracts to audit about 49 of them. Then we do a couple of other specialized audits. So in the past 2 years, we did the National Payroll Audit, the first National Comprehensive Payroll Audit in post-war Liberia, and then we also did the Domestic Debt Audit as well. That was the 7th domestic debt audit performed in post-war Liberia, but the first performed by the GSC. I also operationalized this audit follow-up unit. The audit follow-up unit provides a technical capacity support to the auditees to aid them in implementing the audit recommendation. So what this particular group is made of are experienced internal and external auditors. We have a group of experienced internal and external auditors. They do not perform the audit, but after the audit is performed, they accompany the AG at our final audit meeting that we call the exit conference, and then we introduce this body. This body then subsequently meet the auditee, agree on a timeline for the implementation of the audit recommendation, and then they help provide that technical support. So for example, if the entity were not preparing financial statement, they will show you the financial statement template, and they will provide that technical training in how to prepare the financial statement. But they will not prepare the financial statement for you, because at the end of the day, we want you to take responsibility for preparing your own statements. This year, by the end of April, I intend to come up with my first status on the implementation of audit recommendation report. Of course, I want to hold a press conference at the launching of that report. The PAC will be duly invited along with other stakeholders so that the public can understand those institutions that are implementing the Auditor General recommendation and those who are not implementing. In order to give sufficient time for the assessment to be done, what we have done is we created a cut-off period. So all those audit reports that were issued between 2021 and the end of June 2023 will form part of the audit follow-up report. And then on an annual basis, myself as Auditor General will be coming up with this report. We have a very strong relationship with the Public Accounts Committee. So on an annual basis, we send an annual report to the PAC. Our 2023 report, I think, should be coming to the PAC this week if it has not already come at the PAC. So we'll be sending you our annual report. We also aid the PAC in public hearing. Like the chair was saying, we are the principal technical organization that aid the PAC in conducting this work. So we send all of our audit reports to the legislature through the PAC. We help to provide that technical awareness surrounding of our reports to the PAC as well. So We send a report to you as and when you are planning to do your public hearing. You invite us so we can clarify some of the issues in the report. Probably alert you with some of the relevant questions to even ask during the deliberation. Then the PAC also appoints the external auditor of the General Auditing Commission. So just as we pride ourselves in auditing other government ministries and agencies, we are also audited every year. As it is now, we are under a contract by the Sierra Leone National Audit Office to audit the GAC every year. Our audit report of 2022 is also available. We'll be sending that to the PAC as well. And in a couple of months, we will be preparing to be audited in 2023. We have interesting relationship with other anti-graft institutions as well. So we have this organization called the National Integrity Forum. It is an umbrella organization for all integrity institutions in the country, but there are also other major civil society organizations that are part. Center, Accountability Live, I think, Remote, etc. They are all part of this organization. The essence of the organization is to facilitate that platform where we can periodically meet to discuss anti-corruption strategies, how we can mitigate corruption, enhance transparency and accountability. One of the latest projects we were working on is called this National Compliance Checklist. Because what I've always told stakeholders is that we do not lack the laws and regulation to facilitate transparency and accountability in Nigeria. If you go through the PFM, the PPCC laws, and all these other ordinances like the travel ordinances or so, the National Labor Law, the Civil Service Standing Order, we have all those laws and regulations that should enhance transparency and accountability. What is lacking is the implementation of those laws and regulations. So we have been brainstorming on how we can synchronize those laws in the form of a checklist, leverage on the internal audit agency presence at government ministries and agencies to be able to help us implement the laws and regulations on a transaction per transaction basis. The checklist is a very efficient way of doing this. Then we also share our reports with the anti-graft institutions as well. So we share our reports with them for a number of reasons. RAA, we give them our reports because they are responsible for strengthening system controls and compliance at government ministries and agencies. There is a possibility that they may not be aware of certain control weakness in a particular institution. So when we do our report, we share our reports with voters around corruption. They can take our reports, investigate those reports, and invite conduct a full-fledged investigation on corruption matters. My understanding is that about up to 80% of their investigation is based on our reports as well. And we are looking forward to these institutions also sharing the reports with us so that it will help us in adequate planning of our audits. There are a couple of challenges we have at the GAC. One, we will hope that our mandate can be fully engraved in the Constitution one day, because acts are subject to amendment, and there's a possibility that based on the discretion of the legislature, our act can be amended. That is a big threat to the independence of Supreme Audit Institution. So most countries have advocated strongly for the inclusion of the mandate of the Auditor General in the Constitution through a constitutional reform. So this could be a long-term project for the PAC. Financial independence is something that is very dear to our heart. For institutions like ours to be fully independent, there are two categories of independence that we must achieve. They have what we call operational or functional independence and then financial independence. So in terms of the operational or functional independence, institutions like us should be able to report to the legislature, which we are reporting now. The Auditor General should have a fixed tenure of office along with his deputies. We have that now at the GSC. The Auditor General should not be arbitrarily removed from office. The Act provides that protection for that as well, that the AG have a fixed tenure of office as well. I know there are interesting conversations around tenure, so I will not go through that as much as possible. But the financial independence concept, this concept is supported by two important declarations. For under INTOSA. INTOSA is the world global body for all supreme audit institutions. It's called the Lima and Mexico Declaration. The crafter of the Lima and Mexico Declaration felt that if the Auditor General has functional and operational independence, but he does not have financial independence, it's as good as tampering with his independence as well. Financial independence means that the Auditor General should have resources readily available to be able to perform his audit. Our Act defines financial independence as at the end, before the subsequent fiscal year, the Auditor General should send a budget to the legislature through the PAC. We've done that already. That budget should be approved by the PAC without intervention of the Ministry of Finance. And after the approval of the Auditor General budget, the Ministry of Finance should disburse in 2 installments. The Ministry of Finance should disburse the first installment as and when the budget is passed for the first 6 months of operation. And by the time we get to July, the Ministry of Finance should disburse the next 6 months. The idea behind that is the Auditor General should always have his resources to be able to plan and do his audit as and when there is a need to perform the audit. And I can tell you one important reason for this is for 8 months now, the GSC has not received any budgetary allotment. It's high demand out there where people want the GSC sometimes to maybe perform 1,000 audits in a year. But if you are only paying salaries, how do we perform audits? To perform audit of some of these institutions, you have to have access to the 15 counties. Like for example, we audited the Ministry of Health last year, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, the Ministry of Defense, Justice. And these are all institutions that have operations in the 15 counties. If you don't have the relevant or the adequate resources to be able to perform those audits, you also lack the independence as well. So we are very appealing to the PAC to help us achieve this financial independence. Delay in receipt of information is a routine challenge by institutions like ours across the world. We go to perform an audit. We first ask you for your financial statement. A number of the ministries and agencies do not even prepare financial statements. So because they are not preparing financial statement, we have to tweak the audit from a financial statement audit to a compliance audit. And then we give you, along with our engagement letter that establishes the commencement of the audit, a document request listing. Sometimes it takes us up to a month to even receive this information for the commencement of the audit. That's a major challenge. And then untimely public hearing is also a major challenge. The PAC is very important to the Office of the Auditor General because it creates visibility around the work that we do. The AG is not supposed to perform its audit before a press conference on every report that is issued. Then we will end up politicizing the whole audit issue. So the PAC, through the conduct of timely public hearing, where the Office of the Auditor General is represented, creates that visibility around our office. We'll be talking more about how the PAC can do that in a couple of other slides. So we have a couple of goals that we want to achieve in the coming years or so. I meet some stakeholders and they tell me, they say, look, some of the reports that you issue, while they are good and comprehensive, we do not have, some of us don't have full appreciation for it. That we talk to some market women or students sometimes, and they tell me, for example, I read your report and you say non-preparation of bank reconciliation statement. If you are not a financial person, you do not even know the importance of the bank reconciliation statement. The bank reconciliation statement is important because it reconciles the entity financial record to the bank record. So if the bank charge, for example, the entity would not have that as part of their financial record until they receive the bank statement. If I issue a check to a vendor as an entity and the vendor has not taken that check to the bank will not be aware of that check. So my bank balance will be reading $1 million, but I may not have had $1 million in my account because of several checks that have been issued. So ordinarily, somebody would not appreciate that if they are not a financial person. So they have asked us, look, agent, can you do some more practical audits that we'll be able to relate to? That's where the issue of the audit of the national agenda has come in. And this is an audit that has now been conducted in a number of other countries in the sub-region as well. So President Burger has been fully inaugurated. He will be shortly launching his arrest agenda. In that arrest agenda, we will expect to see activities catalog and timelines for the implementation of those activities. So after the first 2 years, we want to perform a national agenda audit to see whether President Burger and his team, for example, are achieving those national agenda as is being cataloged in the national agenda. The operationalization of financial independence, we've talked about that already. We present our budget, we want the House through the PAC to kindly ensure that that budget is approved and the two disbursement is made by the Ministry of Finance.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. So the operationalization of the financial independence is our appeal. The audit follow-up I've already spoken about it. We'll be coming up with our status report in April, and then in April of every year now, myself as Auditor General will be coming up with a status report. The inclusion of our mandate in the Constitution is something that we look forward to strengthen the independence of the Supreme Audit Institution. So all of those different provisions, strong provisions in our Act, we hope that they can also further be placed in the Constitution for further strengthening of our independence. We also want to enhance stakeholders' engagement as well, where we have more interaction with the media, civil society organizations, student-based organizations. The PAC, we want to strengthen our relationship with the PAC this year, where we can have many more interaction as and when we are issuing our report, we can have full discussion with the PAC around the details of our report. And this year we hope to launch an application called Citizen R. We've been working on this application for some time now. We want to launch this application, which will almost resemble like a national whistleblowing platform. So the Citizen R is being operationalized in Ghana and a few countries. The next 3 countries that intend to operationalize it in the AfroSAE community is Ghana, Botswana, and Kenya. I mean Liberia, Botswana, and Kenya. This project is being supported by AfroSAE, the English-speaking umbrella organization of Auditor General in Africa, and GRZ. GRZ is like the USAID for the German government. They are helping us to build this application. When this application is operationalized, hopefully by May or June latest this year, it will give all of us the opportunity, citizens, residents living in Liberia, even outside Liberia, the opportunity to report perceived issues of corruption or perceived issue of non-compliance. You can decide to declare your name as part of reporting, or if you want to go anonymous, you don't want to showcase your name, that leverage will be there. Once we operationalize that, I will organize a small unit at the GAC that will be reviewing the different queries that will come in there, and that will help inform the audits that we do. As we get more familiarized with it, we intend to, in the future, be able to share similar platforms with institutions like the LACC, maybe even the Financial Intelligence Unit as well. And we intend to maximize our audit coverage. So one of the plans we have at the GAC is to ensure how we can increase our audits every year, almost concluded. So we recommended, when I appeared to plenary, we recommended that we do a system review at the legislature. We are kindly asking the PAC to help us in this direction. We understand that the Speaker transferred this particular activity to the PAC and I think another associated committee to give us feedback. After the Speaker invited us to plenary for discussion on this, the Pro Tem also wrote us requesting that we perform a system review of the Senate. And I also met the Chief Justice to discuss performance of the system review as well. This is very important because if an institution has not been audited for many, many decades, if you go in and perform strictly a full-scale audit, there is a possibility that the institution may not even be in the state to be audited because they may not have a centralized financial management system in place, they may not have the relevant instruments for audit and financial report, bank statements, bank accounts, and all those other issues. So we want to come in and perform a comprehensive system review of the legislature, the judiciary, and we also engage the Ministry of State as well, another institution that has not been audited for decades. The Ministry of State has consented to also the system review there. We analyze the system is established. Our audit follow-up team work along with this institution to ensure that the relevant recommendations that we put forward are implemented. Then within the space of 1 to 2 years, we can perform a full-scale audit on that. That will showcase that when the President said that he intends to ensure that transparency and accountability cuts across all branches of government, that will be achieved. That will also showcase that the legislature is not only willing to exercise its stewardship over the executive, but also over other branches of government, because at the end of the day, our reports will be coming to you for your review and possible implementation. So this is what we anticipate the accountability enhancement cycle to look like. We want to have strong preventive organizations. We invited the IAA already, they will be coming in the PPCC. We want them to help ensure that system and controls are placed at government ministries and agencies, the laws are being complied with, and then they can do their routine internal audits to see those institutions that are not complying and make recommendations. The PPCC will do their compliance review and continue to improve annual procurement plans, receive quarterly and annual procurement activities report, and be able to strengthen those institutions that are not complying to the law. We want to come in and do timely external audits as well. And then we want the PAC to conduct timely public hearings so that at the end of the day, these reports that are produced by the Office of the Auditor General, public officials can be able to account for their stewardship over the use of those resources and the issues reported by the Auditor General, and then also make timely reports, because the PAC don't just hold public hearing, but they also expected to make report to the President, make timely reports to the President, and then investigative body like LECC, FIU can also do the investigation as far as corruption and money laundering is concerned. And then the President should also be put in a position where he can implement the recommendation that is coming out of the PAC report. So these are the number of audits I've been at the GAC since I was confirmed by the Senate in July of 2021. So since 2021, these are the different types of audits. We've done a total of 188 audits, and we break down as far as the different types of audits are there. These are reports that have been commissioned and published by myself as Auditor General because I started full operation in August. So beginning August 2021, these are reports. In 2021, we completed 38 audits. We published all of those audits, so the reports are at PAC. And my team usually tell me, say, look, AG, you say 38 audits, for example, but sometimes we audit one government ministry and agency for 4 or 5 years. So while you'll be seeing a total of 170 reports, there are several 170 audits, there will be several reports from these audits. In 2022, we completed a total of 65 audits, about 56 of those reports have been published. So some of the reasons why some of those reports are still outstanding will be we are waiting for response from the auditee. We have not made available time for the exit conference and all of that. In 2023, we did a total of 68. We have published about 49 of those reports. So we completed a total of 170 audits, and we published 143. So the remaining 27, we intend to have them published very, very shortly. This is our donor audit portfolio. So we audited a total of about 49 donor audits. World Bank 33, American Development Bank 8, IFAD 4, USAID. The biggest project is the Gavi project. We audited Global Fund, so a total of 49 of them. Next. So we recently signed an MOU with Global Fund. They are one of the biggest aid agencies in the country. We recently signed an MOU with them to be their external auditor, so verify we audit their practice. It is important that we audit these projects because these are money given to the government of Liberia. Last time we did a portfolio of donor projects in the country in excess of $1.5 billion, which is disbursed in excess of about $300 million on an annual basis. So the fact that we're auditing these are also very important to ensure that the projects that these donors are embarking on are being felt by the people of Liberia. Potential projects for support. We want more vehicles to conduct our audit operation. The vehicles you see in the slide are 7 vehicles given to us by the World Bank as and when we were about to perform the payroll audit. Most of them are even in Rome now because that's about 2 years ago. We want scholarship opportunities for our auditors to write these professional exams like the ACCA, CA, CAT, and PEPSA, etc. We want to automate our audit follow-up process because as of now we are managing these databases in Excel, and we want to fully automate all of our audit activities at the GEC this year. So we want to introduce the GEC first audit software. Yeah, so we also want to build the GEC first office building. We estimated this project at a total of $4.5 million. The government had initially promised to provide support in the last year budget, but we did not get the support. So we are pleading with the PAC to ensure that they help us get this. Because that building that we occupy now is the former executive mansion. We are told that we can make very minimum changes to the building, restructuring to the building. Because that building is being used, the structure of the building is to be maintained for future tourist purposes. Thanks. And then the final slide, Mr. Chair and PAC, these are low-hanging fruits. These are low-hanging fruits that we intend to recommend to the PAC. This is the final slide. Mandatory reporting in government. The PAC is for expenditure and public accounts. One of the major challenges we have is that a number of ministry and agencies are not preparing financial statements. And this is a foundation for transparency and accountability. If government is giving you money, if you are not producing financial report, there is no evidence that you are being accountable for the resources that are given to your institution. So we want the PAC to please ensure that ministries and agencies prepare these financial statements or consistent with the PFM law. This will help institutions who want to be fully accountable for money given to them or resources given to them. It will help the Controller and Accountant General to prepare a more comprehensive consolidated financial statement. And it will also help us to do timely audit. Timely public hearing. There is this practice in Eastern and Southern Africa where when the AG issues his reports, set of reports, within 1 month the PAC must do public hearing. In 3 months, the PAC must issue a report to the President, and then within additional 3 months, the president must implement the PAC recommendation. So this is something that most members of the current PAC are aware of. This could just be another low-hanging fruit that we could achieve as well. GAC system review for all those institutions that have not been audited for a long time. Like I said, the Judiciary, the Senate, and the Ministry of State have obliged to our conduct. We have been waiting for requests, full authority now from the lower house, the House of Representatives. So, PAC support for GAC to perform this system review is also a low-hanging fruit. And then the full operationalization of GAC financial independence is also something that we look forward to the PAC helping us achieve. So this, in summary, this is our presentation. I've attached 2 sheets of paper that summarizes our achievements at the GAC since August, but maybe because of time